That performance against Real Madrid was the kind of performance that draws a line in the sand and automatically activates a reset. Ryan Trahan? Do you know the YouTuber that's called Ryan Trahan? By chance?
Yeah.
He had this series where he lived off 1 penny for an entire month, and then he would kind of entrepreneurially like reinvest the penny and like pay for a pen and then sell the pen and then get something else and keep getting his money up by just trading stuff and doing odd jobs and things like that. And then someone makes a donation. It was for aiding child hunger or something like that. It was a great cause and it raised so much money, but someone, if they raised a certain amount of money, it would activate something called the Great Reset, and he would go back to the 1 penny. We need to go back to the 1 penny.
I like your analogy there. That was so quite creative.
I just came up with it now. I don't know how I remember it. I just remember the phrase "the Great Reset," and that kind of it's exactly what needs to happen. There are points in time for certain teams where they've had a cultural reset, a rethink of strategy, of recruitment, of everything really. And like with Arsenal, that happened very recently, and you're on a title run now. Teams like Philadelphia Union did that in 2018, started to really like revolutionize their backroom staff and get in players with an actual desire to win. Really like hungry players, and start relying on the academy and everything. Houston Dynamo have had a similar sort of thing this year. I don't know why I'm just pulling up MLS examples at this point, but my point is we need to do that now. And the squad is at that point where it needs a lot of turnover. It needs a lot of smart turnover. It needs a lot of ruthlessness, because I feel like we are too nice to players who have given us everything. But they have given, when I say everything, it means everything. The battery is empty for a lot of the senior squad. It's aging, the midfield is aging, the defense is aging and tired and injury prone and unreliable at this point. Unreliable. And satisfied. And I feel like with other little things as well, operationally and in terms of like fan services and the experience at Anfield and stuff like that. I watched a video of Ellis Platten, and that's one sample, one video. Someone went to Anfield to experience some sort of VIP thing, and even he said, I didn't feel like I was at a game of football. Like it's so bland, and that I feel like it's also like it relates to that level of comfort at Liverpool. That we're successful, we're big now, we don't really need to do much. I don't know if it's a psychological thing of, let's just keep doing what we're doing because we've been doing fine for years and years at this point. The problem, I think the biggest problem is the ownership situation. Not just from an FSG angle, but from the uncertainty of what they really want to do. Yeah. Because a couple of quotes emerged over the last 2 weeks that were like, okay, we're not going to sell. And Liverpool is a really good source of growing revenues. And that was it. Like, that was all there is to that quote. And the reasoning why behind they didn't want to sell is to grow revenues. And I get the point that clubs, like ownerships of any big company, exist to grow revenues. But certainly if you want to grow revenues even more, you reinvest to grow. Like Ryan Trahan. He sells the pen. He loses value, but he gets something, and then he trades something to lose value, but then gets something with higher value. And then he spends money on his necessities, like he goes to McDonald's, and then he loses money, but he needs to keep operating so he doesn't get tired and hungry, so he's able to work more. That's just how life works, right? And it should be how any footballing institution works. If you want to grow revenues, you need to reinvest what you have to grow. We're not doing.
Yeah.
This is a basic business concept that FSG don't seem to do. We're spending money. I'm not saying we haven't spent 120 million pounds on forwards over the last 18 months, but it's being spent in the wrong areas, and we don't have a recruitment department now that is interested in operating. That's kind of tired of the restrictions. And I don't know where it goes from here. I just want the season to end. I really look forward to what we're going to do in the summer, and I really hope it's something good, because if it isn't, we just become Chelsea without the spend, which is a dreadful, dreadful thing. And
it feels like,
I don't know.
For a few years, Liverpool have been kind of the barometer and the case study for a lot of clubs. If you're sort of looking at it thinking, okay, well, their recruitment model has been this, and this has got them to, into the position they've been, and they've kind of been able to break out and actually, challenge the likes of Man City and Chelsea and even Man United with the revenues they generate. Like, it's difficult for clubs perhaps like Arsenal and like Spurs and obviously like Liverpool that are kind of more reliant on self-sustainable methods of operating to compete with that. And they've shown that they've been able to do it. And for so long, their kind of recruitment and what they've been able to do has been the example to other clubs. But I actually think they'll end up being a case study in the next few years for different reasons, which are, you can't rest on your laurels. You can't get complacent. You can't think that the grass is always going to be greener when you've got it good, because it isn't. If you stop in this league for even a second and you rest on your laurels and you don't look at ways to improve the team and keep evolving, as you've quite articulately put there, you will get left behind. If a side that can get to the Champions League final, come within 2 points of winning the league and win both domestic trophies, can go from there to this season, they're kind of nowhere. They're in the wilderness. If it can happen to them, it could honestly happen to anyone. And I think it's a lesson that other clubs will heed quite dearly, really, because
hopefully for them,
if you don't continue to, I mean, from your perspective, hopefully not. But like when you look at it, like they have had it so good, and it's almost like they've kind of bought into their own hype and just thought, well, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. This group of players is great, and they'll kind of be here forever. And it's like, well, no, like you didn't get to this position by just sitting back and letting things run their course. Like, you have to always be looking at ways to improve and evolve the team. And it's not to say, as you said, they have spent money and they've brought in, you look at the attack, for example, they have tried to kind of evolve from the three that they had into, obviously they brought in Jota, they brought in Diaz, they brought in Gakpo and Nunes this season. And like, not every signing can be a success, right? This is the other thing. So you are going to get, maybe they had a hit rate that was maybe not proportionate with reality. Like, you are going to get some signings that you bring in and they're not all going to elevate you to, title challenging level. You're going to get some come in and just don't quite work for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And maybe they're kind of seeing that happen to them all at once at this point in time, where they've brought in a few players and at this moment in time they aren't where they want to be. But in other positions, and we keep coming back to it, in that midfield, as the age profile of it has continued to grow year by year, and that was the bedrock, I think, for the way that they've been able to play. I know that obviously they brought in Van Dijk, they brought in Alisson, and the attack is the attack. But the bedrock was always, for me, the functionality of the midfield that set the tone and allowed the other players to play the way they do, particularly going forwards. The fullbacks and the front three are able to play as high up the pitch and make as much happen in attack, because you've got three athletic, hard-working, tenacious, whatever word you want to put to it, midfielders that do that side of the game. And simply put, those guys at this point in time can't do it. They just don't have the legs for it after, years and years of hard running. And, last year was a very, very intense season.
Yeah.
I think it was, in hindsight, naive to just think, we'll just go again. We'll just do that again. We got all these players. We'll keep pushing them to, absolute maximum, empty the gas tank, and they'll keep being able to produce it, because I think mentally and physically it's been so taxing on them. And
it has.
You need to evolve. You need to give these guys, quite frankly, a breather, and have other players that chip in and are able to help you operate at the same level consistently. And they've not done that in truth, and that, I think, that at this moment in time is kind of the assessment of it.